Hello and welcome to another edition of CU Sports Mag. I am Alex Doyle and I am joined by Steve Nelson.
Thanks, Alex. It's good to be back on the desk. And now, for those of you who do not know, Alex and I are actually both musicians. And because of that, we wanted to include some musical humor into today's show.
That's right, Steve. Musical puns are our forte.
We have a great show coming up. We're talking skiing, football, golf, lacrosse, the whole shebang.
But first, basketball. Last weekend, the women's basketball team went to Seattle for the Pac-12 tournament. In the first round, the 12th-seeded Buffs took on the 5th-seeded Washington Huskies. Freshman sensation Kennedy Leonard landed 6 three-pointers on her way to a 21-point game. Haley Smith snagged a season-best 11 rebounds. Despite their efforts, the CU women fell to the Huskies by a final score of 67-51. This season was lackluster, to say the least, but we wish the team the best of luck next season.
On Wednesday, the 5th-seeded men's basketball team began their tournament play in Las Vegas against the Washington State Cougars. For lack of a better phrase, this game was a slam dunk for the Buffs. The final score, 80-56. They advanced and took on their bitter rivals, the Arizona Wildcats. The Buffs fell early in the game, and even with some late-game theatrics from Scott and King, they lost to the tune of 82-78. We hope the team can find their groove again before the big dance. Sports Mag's Andrew Hobner is in Las Vegas, and we got Andrew for his breakdown of Colorado's loss to Arizona. Andrew?
Yeah, well, Colorado started off incredibly weak in this first half. I mean, probably the last time I saw Colorado play this badly was when they went up to Laramie to play the Wyoming Cowboys, and that was a 56-33 loss last year. It was nightmarish. That's probably the best way you could describe it. Colorado started off extraordinarily cold. They had no clue what they were doing on the offensive end of the ball. They were totally shell-shocked. Arizona's fans came out in way bigger numbers than I thought they would originally and made that place as loud, if not louder, than the McHale Center in Tucson. So Colorado really did a fantastic job of getting back into this game. You got to credit George King and Josh Scott for that. 22 points for King, 16 points, 13 rebounds for Scott. And the incredible thing that these teams were able to do is be able to will their way back in it. They only were within 4 at one point, and they got so close off a Josh Fortune 3 late in the second half, but ultimately that first half deficit, being down 17 at halftime, 37-20, was too much to overcome for the Buffaloes, and so now they have to pick up the pieces. They're looking forward to an NCAA tournament bid, so I think they're probably going to get there.
Win or go home. It's that simple. During the Pac-12 Conference Tournament, the teams need to play 40 solid minutes to earn 40 more minutes for their next game. And if that didn't end up happening, well, it was time to pack up their things and head home. Thankfully, CU Buffs coach Tad Boyle's teams have historically performed well during conference tournaments and have never lost a tourney opener under his coaching. Boyle says, quote, "The teams that go there with that kind of hungry dog mentality are the ones that usually come out with the wins." The Buffs were able to bring their A game during the first round of the tournament, but unfortunately ended their time in Vegas early, losing to Arizona 82-78.
March Madness is right around the corner, and we wanted to know how the students are feeling about CU's chances in the tournament. So we sent Sports Mag's own Jake Feldman to the University Memorial Center to do some investigating in this week's edition of Man on the Street. Take it away, Jake.
Hey Buff fans, I'm Jake Feldman with this week's edition of Man on the Street. With the Buffs done with the first 2 rounds of the Pac-12 tournament, do you think their record is high enough for them to get a top 10 seed? Let's see what our fellow Buffs think. How far do you think the Buffs will go in the NCAA tournament?
Hopefully we're going to go all the way. I'd love to see the Buffs win the NCAA tournament, but we'll just see how it goes from here.
This year, I think, they got everybody healthy. They've have some big wins. I think if they bring their A game, I think they can maybe beat just about anybody. I could see them, maybe even making the Sweet 16. That's a high goal to have, but, why not? You're in it to win it, right? So,
with big wins against Arizona and Oregon, is that enough for the Buffs to get a top 10 seed?
I think so. Maybe not too likely, but weirder things have happened in the tournament. I think we've got a good shot. We've got an athletic team. Josh Scott's got it going on. If he gets it rolling, I think, we've got a good shot.
Everything that I've read, ESPN, CBS Sports, USA Today, all that, they all have us usually around 7, 8, or 9. So, I can't imagine why we wouldn't be.
Do you think we have enough steam to pull off big upsets against higher-ranked teams?
Buffs can perform at a high level. Just look at when they beat Arizona and Oregon. We can play at that level. It just depends on how the Buffs come out that day. So I think, yes, absolutely.
I think as long as we keep playing well and have enough stamina, then we should be good. I know we're good enough, so hopefully.
sure won't be easy, and unfortunately they won't have Coors Event Center behind them, but I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, and I'm pretty pumped to see what they do.
Well, it looks like the Buff fans are expecting to get another upset. Let's keep the momentum rolling. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Jake. Well, like we've already mentioned, the men's basketball team lost last night against Arizona in the second round of the Pac-12 tournament. But we're already looking ahead to March Madness. The Buffs will head into the NCAA tournament after closing the year with some impressive top 25 wins, and their chances to head to the Sweet 16 are as good as ever. One thing that pays in the playoffs is versatility, and the Buffs roster has plenty of it. CU plays an 8-man rotation, and they have a strong core in the front court surrounded by a deep group of perimeter players, which will allow them to adapt to whoever they face down the stretch. I'm not saying they're going to be the heralded Cinderella team, but the Buffs could definitely give some of the higher seeds some fits.
This Sunday, the selection committee will determine the Buffs' fate. Though CU is only 1-2 in the last 3 games, look for them to get at least a 10 seed when the brackets are announced. The tournament committee should be impressed by the strength of the Pac-12 this year and the Buffs' success in it, specifically the wins against Cal, Arizona, and Oregon, who were all ranked in the top 25 in the nation. Good luck out there, Buffs.
Josh Scott played his final home game in Buffs colors last week, but hopes are high that the strong center can lead the Buffs in a few more games this season. News Team Boulder's Bree Thomas caught up with Scott for some reflection on his time at CU and what the future holds.
Forward from Monument, Colorado, senior number 40,
Senior forward Josh Scott has a chance to leave CU as the best big man in college hoops. After sitting out most of his junior season with a back injury, Scott came back as a stronger player and even a stronger leader. As a senior, Scott is a finalist for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award. Abdul-Jabbar is considered one of the best big men to ever play in the NBA. His work ethic and skills were legendary. The prestigious award for the best big man is named after him.
You know, actually, probably wouldn't remember me. I met him at a top 100 camp when I was a senior in high school, and he's just a big dude, so I can imagine he was a problem.
Scott has recorded 15 double-doubles in his 4-year career, placing him at number 13 in the books. He averages 20.5 points per game and 7.5 boards.
Jabbar has been an inspiration for Scott ever since he can remember. He may not have been able to hit the skyhook before, but now he can, no problem.
Scott went from under the radar to vying for the award with 2 other Pac-12 players. In highly competitive Division I play, Scott's performance this season has stood out among the best in college basketball.
Anytime you get an award like that, you know, obviously you want to win it.
The 6-foot, 10-inch center does not play alone in the post, as 6-foot, 9-inch forward Wesley Gordon has come to compliment Scott. And the proverbial twins down low feed off each other every game.
That's my brother. We grew up in the same city. I don't know, you know, he's like a little brother. Like, I'm the cool one, he the dorky one. And we just mesh real well.
And meshing is definitely something Scott and Gordon do well together in the post. With Scott playing in his last game in the Coors Event Center, he couldn't help but get emotional when talking about his twin.
My twin Wes, he sells on Friday, but this is my partner in crime. Everybody trying to pit us against each other, and you know, we ended up actually really like each other.
With conference tournament play this week and Selection Sunday on the horizon, Coach Boyle hopes his dynamic duo of big men will lead the Buffs to the big dance. Bree Thomas, News Team Boulder.
After a 7-23 season from the women's basketball team, athletic director Rick George made the tough decision to not bring back Linda Lappy as next season's head coach. During her time at CU, Lappy posted a 105-92 record, including an NCAA tournament appearance in 2003, breaking a 9-year tournament drought. She also took her team to the WNIT 3 times. The search for a replacement will begin immediately. Lappy's successor will be the 8th coach in CU's 43-year history.
We've been throwing a lot of facts, figures, and stats your way, but now we want to see if you can tell us something. That's right, it's time for this week's trivia question. The last time the men's basketball team made the big dance in 2013, they were knocked out in the first round by Pitt. The odds were against them. I mean, Barack Obama didn't pick them to advance in his bracket. So we want to know, when was CU's last win in the NCAA national tournament? Stay tuned, and we'll have that answer for you at the end of the show.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Joe Paris and Tanner Bergamo will be in studio to talk about the men's lacrosse team.
And we'll reveal our picks for this week's Athletes of the Week. Don't go anywhere.
Let's sit down for a second, okay, sweetie? Hey, Kayla, there's Mary from your class.
Hi, Mary! Hi, Kayla! Come and play!
Oh, sweetie, sweetie. Why don't you go play with those kids over there?
Why?
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes Brahms!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit americansforthearts.org.
No, what'd she say?
She said whatever.
No, she says that all the time.
What's that?
Hello? I'm on the phone. Mom, I'm on the phone! Hello? I'm on the phone.
Who's this? It's me. I'm on the phone. Mom.
Oh, you're on the phone. All right. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway.
Who are you talking to? Kelly?
Mom.
All right.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Welcome back. It's time for our Athletes of the Week. This week saw a lot of very good performances by our student athletes, so it was very difficult to pick only two. But our two Athletes of the Week are Kennedy Leonard and Callie Castagnola. On top of scoring a career-high 6 3-pointers against Washington, Leonard was named to the Pac-12 All-Freshman team.
And lacrosse superstar Callie Castagnola has scored 14 goals and 6 assists in 6 games this season. She was also the first player in the program's history to score a goal, and in the team's first game ever 2 years ago, Castagnola scored 4 goals in 5 shots. Keep up the good work, athletes.
The men's lacrosse team kicked off their home season this past weekend with 2 close wins. Joe Paris and Tanner Bergamo are here to break down Colorado's home performance and their huge road trip out west this weekend for this week's edition of Double Team.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Double Team. I'm Tanner Bergamo, and that's Joe Paris.
Yes, I am, Tanner, and we're here for another edition of the best sports program ever. We're talking men's lacrosse today.
Men's lacrosse is right, and we actually went and broadcast a couple of the games this weekend, and so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Colorado starts the 2016 homestand here in Boulder this past weekend. Friday and Sunday, Colorado took on 2 really good opponents. Friday night, Colorado started playing number 19 Oregon. Colorado and Oregon hadn't really scheduled each other the last few years, so we hadn't seen the Ducks since about 2011. So coming into town, it was really exciting to have Oregon back here. Of course, they're a Pac-12 opponent in NCAA D1. In the MCLA, the league that Colorado plays in for lacrosse, we're out of division with them, so it's fun to have a Pac-12 opponent come in. So there's that little bit of a rivalry there already, and it was a big test for Colorado. Oregon comes in at number 19 in the country. They have the best offensive player in the U.S. in Grant Clifford. Clifford came into Friday night's game the leading scorer in the league by a lot. He was averaging close to 8 goals a game, and Colorado knew coming into that game that for them to come away with a victory, they would have to shut him down. Defender Jordan Shaparsky, who is a long stick defender, his job was to shut down Clifford, and we saw Jordan stay with him all game. I mean, he was like Clifford's shadow, and for Jordan to shut him down and keep him to 3 goals shows that Colorado does have those top-tier defenders that the Buffs will need to make a national championship run. Like every single sport, for the most part, defense wins championships, and in club lacrosse, I think that rings true as well.
Absolutely. And Clifford, like you said, he was averaging close to 7-8 goals a game. So to hold him for 3, like, it may sound like a lot, but that's a great job by their part. And at the same time, though, the Buffs kind of let them hang in this one. And so what do you think that the team needs to do heading forward in terms of keeping opponents down on the scoreboard?
Right. Friday and Sunday, Colorado played really good teams, but an issue they had during both games was not being able to finish a game when it should be finished. On Saturday, Colorado had a really good practice, and they talked about some things they wanted to change against Boise State on Sunday, and they didn't quite go the way Colorado had wanted. Oregon hung around late, and the Buffs took care of business in that one. But a very good Boise State team that came in, Colorado had a hard time getting rid of them. And it was a 1-goal game late. Colorado scored. Jake Gonzalez got a goal with 30 seconds remaining, and the Buffs, survived an upset. The Buffs are 3rd in the country right now. And so when anyone comes into Boulder, when Colorado goes on the road, there's that extra, motivation to try and knock Colorado off. So, the Colorado gets out of the weekend 2-0, and that's great. But looking forward here in the next few weeks, you want the Buffs to be able to finish games.
Yep, they definitely have places to improve. But for us, that's all we have. So thanks for tuning in to Double Team, and let's get you back to the desk.
Thanks, guys. Senior Jessica Honkanen watched her ski career come to an abrupt end after injuring her knee in a training accident right before the 2016 NCAA Championships. Honkanen has been a crucial asset to the team throughout her time at CU. She has skied at the NCAA Championships 3 seasons in a row and was able to help the Buffs win the championship title in both 2013 and 2015. Coach Richard Rocco said, quote, "She is smiling, but her heart is crying. We wish Honkanen a speedy recovery and the CU ski team the best of luck during the championship."
At the halfway point of the 63rd NCAA Skiing Championship, the Buffaloes moved into the 4th spot over the East Region champs Vermont. The Montana State Bobcats lead the championship with 282 points. The Utah Utes are in 2nd with 264 points, and the Denver Pioneers follow close behind with 263 points. The Buffaloes are the only other team who have over 200 points, totaling 214.5 points. The competition will continue tonight and Saturday, so the Buffs still have the chance to make a comeback and conquer the slopes. Good luck, Buffs.
With the ski team up in Steamboat this week, we thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about skiing, even though winter seems to be over, at least for now. We don't know a lot about ski racing, but Christine Lambert does, so she's here to tell you what's up with the team this season.
Hello, Buff fans. Surprise! It's time for another edition of Buff Banter. I'm Christine Lambert. Remember when I gave you the deets on our ski team about a month and a half ago? Yes? No? Well, anyways, I'm going to update you on those deets and maybe give you some new deets. So way back in January, I told you all about how 13 of the 25 members of our ski team are from Scandinavia. And back then, one of these Scandinavians, a Norwegian to be more specific, was killing it. And it turns out he's still killing it. Junior Matt Strom easily won the men's 10-kilometer freestyle race at the NCAA Championship this past week. This was his 2nd NCAA title, by the way. He won the freestyle race back in 2014 as a freshman. Pretty impressive if you ask me. Sophomore Petra Heinasakova finished up the women's 5-kilometer freestyle race at the NCAA Championship in 2nd place, missing first by about 10 seconds. 3rd place in this race was Sloane Story from Utah, who finished a 1/10 of a second after CU's Heinasakova. Now that is a close race. All right, now switching from the NCAA Championship to the CU ski team season overall, here are some quick stats summing up the season so far. The Buffs have had 13 race wins, 32 podium appearances, 49 top 5 finishes, and 78 top 10 finishes. They're hoping to bring home the championship title this year, as all of the teams are, I'm sure, but the Buffs are working especially hard for it, considering they won last year and have a reputation to hold up. If they bring it home again, they will be the first team to win back-to-back titles in 5 years. The NCAA Championship lasts through the end of the week. We will make sure to update you next week on how it all turns out, so make sure to tune in. All right, well, I'm Christine Lambert, and I'm out of time for Buff Banner today. But I guess I'll just toss it back to you guys at the desk now.
Thanks, Christine. I now know about the ski team. We have to take another quick break, but when we come back, we have what we think was good, bad, and just downright ugly from this week in sports.
And CU football is getting back in the swing of things. It's all coming up in the third movement of our Sports Mag Symphony.
Here's my nephew Scruff about to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Oh, look at this. Uh-oh. It's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and guns. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, just write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it. I want it. You know trouble can start when the clock hits 3. When there's no place after school for kids to be. Nothing to do but hanging on city streets. When mom and dad are working to make ends meet. Now it's time to beat the street.
With after-school programs, city kids aren't left alone and vulnerable. They keep on learning between 3 and 6, but these programs need your support. Join with the Urban League to keep them going. Call now, because it's
time to beat the street.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Good nutrition can lead to great things. Find out how a healthy lifestyle can help your child succeed.
It is now time for our newest segment, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from this week in CU Sports. First, the good. The tennis team beat Colorado State last weekend 6-1. This win brought CU's all-time record against the Rams to 31-0. The Buffs' Nuria Ormeño Ruiz remained unbeaten on the year by defeating Emily Kelbo in straight sets.
And now the bad. And we're not talking bad. We're talking Miles Davis or Michael Jackson bad, as in good. The lacrosse team has been very bad this season. The team is now 5-1 and have a couple of wins by double digits. The first game of the season was against a very good Denver Pioneer squad, where the Buffs came out on top 11-10. And finally, the ugly. The men's basketball teams play on the road this season. Every game away from Boulder, the team started off slowly and eventually found a rhythm, but it was often too little, too late.
This past Wednesday, CU hosted 6 former Buffs that are hoping to make a jump into the NFL. With 17 NFL teams in attendance, offensive lineman Stefan Nembot, fullback Jordan Murphy, wide receiver Nelson Spruce, and defensive backs Ken Crawley and Jared Bell took part in drills for professional scouts. While Crawley, Nembot, and Spruce chose not to participate in the vertical jump and defer to their Indianapolis Combine numbers, Powell posted the highest vert of the day with a jump of 34.5 inches. On the 40-yard dash drill, one of the most closely watched drills by NFL scouts, Jared Bell had the fastest time of the day with a time of 4.46 seconds. Nelson Spruce, who scouts worry may not have had the speed to create separation at the next level, improved on his time at the Combine with a time of 4.56 seconds. The NFL Draft takes place in Chicago in late April.
After only a few spring practices for the CU football team, there are already some noticeable themes in play on how the Buffs plan to approach next season. The team is picking up the pace, and with every run, tackle, throw, and play, there is a sense of urgency that every second counts. The attitude on the field is an exciting one to watch. Redshirt freshman quarterback Steven Montez says, quote, "We're flying right now. Flying. We're at a whole new level than I've seen us at before. It's awesome." Hopefully the Buffs can keep this attitude and pace up until August, so we can start the season off right.
CU women's golf has been on a tear since the new year began, and it continued this week at the Bay Area Intercollegiate. The women's team finished second overall, falling just 3 strokes short of number 14th ranked Cal. Sophomore Brittany Fan carried the Buffs in the final round and earned her first top 5 finish of her career. Junior Esther Lee also had a fine day, finishing with an even par, recording her 4th top 10 finish of her career. Up next, the Buffs head west to compete in the Arizona Wildcat Invitational starting March 14th.
As far as indoor track and field goes, the NCAA Indoors Track and Field National Championships is like the Super Bowl. Only the best of the best get to suit up for the event in Birmingham, Alabama. And luckily, CU is sending 5 athletes to the championship event. The 5-player squad includes senior Pierce Murphy, sophomore Aaron Clark, senior Connor Winter, senior Morgan Pearson, and sophomore Caitlin Benner. Pierce Murphy, a 3-time All-American, will be running the 3 and the 5K for the men's team. Pearson, a second-team All-American in the indoor 5K last few years, will return to run the 5K. Meanwhile, Connor Winter for the men's team, as well as Caitlin Benner and Aaron Clark for the women's team, will all compete in the 3K. The national championships begin Friday, March 11th, so make sure to wish them luck in what will be one of their biggest races of their collegiate careers. So unfortunately, we got to take another break, but when we come back, we got the answer to that trivia question, so don't go anywhere.
Mom!
What?
You can't find Ichabod.
What?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, how's your weekend? Oh, have you studied for Jackson? Oh, yeah.
Pay attention. It matters.
This house was almost saved from a fire that was almost put out by neighbors who almost volunteered. As generous a nation as we are, sometimes instead of giving, we almost give. But almost giving is the same as not giving at all.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're gonna beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a
One
dad
more
today.
time. Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
Welcome back. I know you've been tirelessly racking your brain for that answer to the trivia question, and we finally have the answer for you. Just in case you forgot, we asked, when was the men's basketball team's last win in the NCAA tournament? And the answer is, drumroll please, 2012. In the game, freshman star Askia Booker put up 16 points and Andre Robertson netted 12 points and 16 rebounds. Unfortunately, the team would be knocked out in the next round by the Baylor Bears.
This week's Tweet of the Week comes from former women's basketball player and current ESPN reporter Kate Fagan. Fagan, who played for 4 full seasons on the women's basketball team, was subbing for Ryan Russillo and Danny Cannell on the ESPN radio program Russillo and Cannell when she tweeted this: "When your squad, Sarah's Payne and Jane Sports, are subbing for Russillo and Cannell, and there's a CU Buffs helmet on the set. Though she graduated a while ago, we are glad to see she's still got love for the Buffs." Unfortunately, even the most moving sonatas must come to an end.
Translation, that's all the time we have for today.
It looks like we're being played off here. I'm Steve Nelson, that's Alex Doyle. This is Sports Mag. See you next week, Buff fans. Da-na-na, da-na-na.